Yeah.
If you would swing that closer. Oh, Jake, welcome back.
Hi.
I'm trying to think. Last time we had you on, we were at the fireside, so it was probably about 14, 15 months ago.
Oh, I think it was a lot longer ago than
Was it
that.
longer than that?
Yeah.
Wow. So he must have been, was he like episode 35, 36, something like that?
I think he might have been 50 something.
50
I'm
something?
gonna guess it was 2023.
Okay. So if he was 50 something, then that was 100 episodes ago?
I think so.
Dang. Well, that is to say it's been too long. So, um, what's been the what's been the most surprising thing for you watching the development of the lander community in the last couple of years? I feel that since 2023, it seems to me that there's definitely been a growing development of a group of guys interested in training a little more seriously than when we first spoke.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Uh, let's see. I think I was kind of getting tired of going out and training by myself
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And feeling like there's only so much you can do by yourself, even if you were staying motivated. And what what good is it to keep everything to yourself? You can spread it around a little bit,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep. Um, do you feel as if I know talking to the guys who have been training with you, they all say that to see how you've developed as a coach, especially with firearm and shooting, has been really distinct. Do you have you noticed that yourself, or maybe the progression has been so gradual that it slipped by you?
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I know we're kind of jumping into the middle of some of the topics we discussed before going on air, but one thing that I've been thinking about a lot, especially over the last week when the three of us were out uh, on the training ground, is balancing investing in gear and upgrades to your kit versus investing time and energy into developing skills of all kinds, but I mean, especially those shooting skills. And I've been kind of curious to pick your brain about that a little bit more.
um,
You just swing the mic just a little
yeah,
closer. Yeah, perfect.
I mean, skill has to come first with anything, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Um, nothing does anything without an agent
Uh-huh.
behind it.
Sure.
So if you're after capability and performance, you have to prioritize the mind and the skill side first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously you need some equipment in order to act on.
Sure.
Um, yeah,
Okay. All right. Let me drill down into specifics. Red dots have become, it seems to me, so much more ubiquitous when it comes to what people are using on their sights on pistols. Do you think that is at this point more or less required for someone who wants to be a serious pistol shooter?
you can do a lot with iron sights,
Uh-huh.
but you can do more with a dot.
Okay.
That's that's pretty much a constant.
Okay.
If you're if you're if you're a skilled shooter, a dot's going to make you a better shooter.
Okay.
But if you're not a skilled shooter, a dot's not going to change that at all.
Okay. So
So
it's not,
that's probably the way to say it
uh-huh.
with kind of any type of equipment. If if you can drive a Honda Civic really well,
Mm,
then you'll be able to drive a Corvette really well.
mm-hmm.
But if you can't drive a Civic, you're not going to be able to drive a Corvette. The
Gotcha.
car is not going to make you any faster than your skill is going to allow, if that makes sense.
It's like athletic wear won't make you fit.
Correct. Running shoes aren't going to get you.
Running shoes don't make you finish triathlons.
Correct. Yeah.
When the red dots first started coming out for pistols, I definitely heard people say this is basically a crutch. This is basically a way to make casual shooters feel as if they are capable of, at the very least, intermediate to advanced performance. Was that just the griping of old schoolers, or is there something to it?
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily true.
Okay.
The shooters that I've experienced that are already struggling with irons
Mm-hmm.
struggle even worse with a dot.
Okay.
It's so different in certain senses that it's not going to make you better unless you already have a very strong fundamental base of skill to work with.
Okay.
So, like I'll try to talk through kind of how that can work. So, shooters that have the biggest problem most people have with red dot is actually picking up the dot when you present the pistol
Okay.
in your face.
Yeah.
So with iron sights, when the gun enters your peripheral vision on the draw in the presentation, you can see those iron sights enter your peripheral vision. So you have a reference point to help you actually orient the gun towards your target.
Yep.
So as the gun presents, you can actually start to correct imperfections in your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine trying to present on target with your eyes closed.
Okay.
And then once the gun lands in its final presented position, open your eyes and tell me if you're on target or not.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what a presentation is like with a red dot sight.
Okay, because you're not
Because
picking
you can't
up.
see the dot until the very end when you're actually looking through the optic.
Ah,
Does that make
gotcha.
sense?
Yeah.
So with iron sights, you have the open gun, you can see the front sight, the rear sight, and as it enters your peripheral vision, you can guide it towards the target.
Okay.
And you start to pick up your sight picture and everything.
And when
You don't actually see through the window, you don't see the dot until you're basically on target. There's very little actual room of deviation where you can see the dot in the window to see where you're aiming.
Uh-huh.
So if you have a lot of skill already, like your baseline foundational skill with a pistol, and you can draw, establish your grip, present on target and everything very smoothly, very correct, without having to do much adjustment once you complete that process.
Mm-hmm.
If all of that's dialed in already, you're a good iron sight shooter. So when you put a dot on it, nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just present, and now you're looking at a red dot instead of a set of iron sights. There's no difference.
If you
have to do a whole bunch of correcting, draw, and then line up your sights, you put a red dot on there, it's not going to help you do that.
Okay. If you have a red dot sight mounted on a typical pistol, could you index off that front sight as it's coming up? And then basically when you're at full presentation, you switch to the red dot? Or
you sort of can.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said earlier, you can see the iron sights start to enter your peripheral vision and use those to guide you onto target.
Yeah.
Like those sights haven't gone away.
Sure.
They're still there. You can still see them.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point at which the optic obscures,
at least the
housing of the optic obscures the front sight.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a wall between your front sight and rear sight.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it more difficult to reference those 2 points against each other during the presentation.
Okay. If you were to take someone who had basically no experience with pistol shooting and to train them from the ground up, would you instruct them to do a bunch of draws where they're just working with those iron sights so that they can index off those sights as it comes into their peripheral vision and then guide that to a correct presentation? I mean, is that the way to train if you're a beginner?
So you're asking, would I train them on iron sights before and
Yeah.
after?
Yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you should know how to use both,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't necessarily believe that you have to learn how to use iron sights before you learn how to use a red dot.
Okay.
Like, would if you got a job with a tree service, would they force you to learn how to cut a tree with an axe before they gave you a chainsaw?
Maybe they should.
I mean, you should probably know how to use both, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's not, you don't need the one to progress to the other.
Gotcha.
It's almost like a separate skill set,
Oh, okay.
but not entirely.
Okay.
I like to think about it much more from the proprioceptive
Proprioceptive. Yep.
perspective. Like we don't have sights on our fingers, but we can still point to stuff accurately,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the camera is probably like right there,
Yep.
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Because I know where my body is, and I can tell you what I'm pointing at
Mm-hmm.
without having to use my eyes to double check myself. So
Gotcha.
proprioception is your body's ability to know where its parts are without looking at them.
Okay. Yep.
So I like thinking of shooting skill as a proprioceptive skill,
Okay.
and using your eyes is kind of like a quality assurance check
Mm-hmm.
after that. So good shooters have a whole bunch of skill built into their bodies through repetition and muscle memory.
Oh.
So if you do it right the first time, you don't have to have your eyes for the QC check before the action takes place.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but it's so different from everything I was imagining growing up, right? You'd read a book about Kit Carson or Daniel Crockett or what have you, and it would be, oh, he had good aim. And I imagine good aim was this skill developed in the eye that, oh, your eye saw things accurately and could align the firearm correctly. But you were saying being able to,
That's a part of it.
sure,
Definitely can be a part of it.
right.
Yeah.
But it's a whole body skill and a muscular skill set.
Yeah. And we could be talking about different types of, within shooting sports, there's different disciplines that require different levels of these things too.
Okay.
If you're talking about slow fire positional rifle marksmanship, the quality of your eyes is very important.
Is paramount.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't like that, those types of disciplines, like NRA service rifle, high power matches and things like that, don't require a lot of dynamic physical movement.
Mm-hmm.
So in things like that, your proprioceptive capabilities aren't going to be as important as in a type of match like USPSA handgun matches.
Okay.
Or
USPSA,
yeah,
which is
I don't know.
United
Practical
Pistol
Shooting
Shooters Association or
Yeah.
something.
I don't know if
Okay.
it's Pistol Shooting Association or Practical Shooting Association, something like that. But yeah, they
Okay.
do. Yeah, it's a relatively common discipline of dynamic handgun shooting, where there's moving around a course of fire and multiple targets with multiple rounds per target and things like that. Or yeah, pistol shooting or practical shooting, something like that. Yeah, there's there and like the professional side of firearms usage, like law enforcement, military, those types of things, that type of skill set involves a lot more proprioceptive skill than, again, like the slow fire type stuff.
Right, where the slow fire part of the skill is eliminating any movement from your body.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
is quieting your entire body so that you don't interfere with the action of
Yeah.
your tool.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And somebody that does more of that than I do would
Mhm.
probably disagree and say there is proprioception involved in that. And there is probably
Mm.
in the same way that there is eyesight involved in USPSA matches and professional shooting. There's
Mhm.
definitely eyesight involved.
Mhm.
No one, including me, would suggest using a firearm in a professional setting with your eyes closed.
Right.
Oh, no.
Maybe we should name that the episode, like shooting with your eyes closed. All of Jake's family is calling him, be like, "What are you supporting?"
I think they call that clickbait.
Hey man, we need exposure anyway. We can get it. Shooting with your eyes closed.
But that's an interesting side note.
Mm.
There are people that have executed some state level law enforcement handgun qualifications with their eyes closed and passed them.
Oh dear.
So they just walk up to the
Like
10-yard line.
Go through the
Yep.
course of fire. From the 15-yard line, you have 7 seconds to fire 3 rounds. Okay, blindfold, beep, and they go through the course of fire with their eyes closed.
Do you think that's a reflection of their proficiency or a reflection of the low standard of shooting present in certain qualifications?
I would say it's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
Okay.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Most people can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what it shows is, like you said, it should be kind of it could be an example of 2 things. One being our standards are not really that high. Or 2, if you think shooting is a difficult thing, it's very doable. If you practice it, you can achieve some incredible things. So it's kind of both.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think people assume, are you a good shot or a bad shot?
And people probably have, like so many talents. I don't think this is exclusive to shooting, but I think at least in the United States, in the time that we've grown up in, talent is thought of as something inborn. Right. I don't think, again, Americans in the current day and age, I don't want to say, oh, people generally, it seems that whether it's basketball, music, or shooting, we don't think of talent and ability as the result of focused practice. We acknowledge that that is necessary, but we tend to think that people have this sort of innate hankering for it, this innate talent for it, this innate ability that is woken up by the practice. I don't know. I just don't know what the correct proportion between natural ability and focused, disciplined execution of the activity. Is talent just the result of interest? I couldn't prove that it's not.
No, I don't think talent is the result of interest. Talent is the result of practice.
Mm-hmm. Right. The interest, which gives one the motivation to practice. Right.
Yeah, but sometimes the motivation to practice comes from other places. It doesn't just come from it being people are good at things and they don't like them.
Especially as children.
But they do it because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's for a natural reason, like I hunt because I live in the wilderness and it's 1604. I'm good at hunting because if I wasn't, I'd be dead. Or in other circumstances, people are good at their manufacturing job because it pays them. So they're skilled at it. Like the interest side, I think would apply to people that do these things for hobbies. Yeah, I thought you were going to say skill, people that are good at things were just born with a talent.
I think that is the
And
way modern Americans are inclined to think.
I think that's an excuse for being lazy.
Mm.
I think anyone that's good at something is good at it because they practiced.
Hmm.
And there are people that have, you know, biological predispositions to success.
Hmm.
Like basketball players are good at basketball because they're 30 feet tall. But I think a lot of the time people are good at things because they've invested in it.
Gotcha.
I think that's true.
Hmm.
And where people invest their resources tends to tell you what's important to them, what they're interested in. It's not necessarily what they're talented in. I don't know. What is talent?
This is the question that I think about all the time, right? I think of Larry Bird. I mean, you look at Larry Bird, he was tall, but he doesn't look like this impressive athlete. But he shot more baskets in practice than anyone else in the league at that time, right? His dedication to practice was itself legendary, right? That after everyone had gone home, and again, these are professional athletes who have spent a good 6 to 8 hours practicing, right? No dispersion upon them, but when they practiced for 6 or 8 hours, he was practicing 12. And over time, when you add up all those, he was getting 150% of the practice that they did. And over time, you produced one of the greatest basketball players of the 1980s. But again, he had an interest he had an interest in being the best and an ability to actuate on that interest. Yeah. Um, I want to go back to the red dots though for a minute. So red dots have become again more and more common. It seems to me becoming close to ubiquitous within certain groups of shooters in the last 5 years. Whereas how long have we had pistols with iron sights? What created what created the need, the perceived need or the interest in just having this type of optic on small handguns?
Well,
Do they provide more an advantage in low light situations, or what's the?
why do you have a red dot sight on your carbine?
To be completely honest with you, is because I wanted to sign up for some carbine courses, and you had to have two different sites on. You had to have two different sites on the carbine in order to sign up for the class. So I went and got my little pop-up Magpul iron sights, and then I needed a second sight. So I went back to the store and I got a Hollow Sun red dot and I slapped it on and sighted it in. And the next day I was at the class. I mean, like, if I'm being really honest, that's why.
Okay, so
Am I not a good am I not a good example? Uh,
but why are red dots better than iron sights on your rifle? Or even are they?
I mean, at least for me, I do have an easier time picking those up and putting them on top of the thing that I want to shoot.
Okay. And I guess, we could talk about the truth of that.
Okay.
Like, why is it better? You could say anything. Your answer could be anything.
Hmm.
And I would say, then why don't we put it on a pistol?
Okay. Okay.
So that's half the answer.
Hmm.
And the other answer is, why are red dots better than iron sights? Because of a couple reasons, but uh, one is, with traditional iron sights, you have three focal planes to worry about.
Hmm.
One being the target, two being the front sight, and three being the rear sight.
Hmm.
So you have to line up all three of these focal planes correctly in reference to each other before you can take an accurate shot.
Hmm.
And doing that under stress is more difficult than what if we could eliminate two of those focal plane and put everything on one focal plane?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be easier?
Uh-huh.
The answer is yes. So that's one benefit.
Okay.
The other benefit is through engineering magic that I don't understand. You don't have to have your head lined up directly behind those things to see the accurate sight picture.
Mm-hmm.
So with iron sights, you have to have your eye lined up directly behind the iron sights to see exactly where the gun's pointing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
But the way that
The
red dot sights work or holographic sights,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually two different types of technology, but they basically render the same result.
Okay.
With the way you're projecting light onto a curved piece of glass, you can move your head around behind the optic
Mm-hmm. To some
still-
degree.
yeah, and you're still referencing the same point of aim
Ah,
the whole time.
gotcha.
So the first example of a holographic gun sight that I know of is the Spitfire airplane from Britain in World War II.
Okay.
They used holographic sights in those airplanes for the pilots in order to aim the machine guns that were mounted to the wings of their planes. So you didn't actually have to have your head locked into a certain position to look through a set of sights. It just displayed on a screen a holographic image of where your sights were aiming. So holographic sighting systems for guns goes back to the early 1940s. And then red dots on rifles. Oh, when was that?
I remember seeing, okay. I remember seeing, it might have been, it was movies. So probably depicting the early days of the war in Afghanistan. So this would have been maybe set in 2002. And I remember these optics that had what appears to me like a red or green filament running over the top of the optic.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the ACOG.
The ACOG. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that?
Filament's a fiber optic illumination for a telescopic sight.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's different.
That's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
The earliest one, like that might be easily recognizable in modern, like common society, would be the movie Black Hawk Down. That event took place in 1993,
Mm-hmm.
and the Delta operators in that event were using Aimpoint red dot sights.
Okay.
And I think it was the Aimpoint 5000 or Aimpoint 3000
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were in use in a military context in the early 90s at least.
Okay.
And then and I think they were even being used on handguns in competition settings in a similar time frame,
Okay.
I think. But at that time they were mounted to the frame. There'd be a bracket that spanned the slide on a semi-auto pistol so that the optic would ride on that, and the slide would reciprocate inside of it.
Oh.
So the optic wasn't mounted to the slide.
It was mounted to the frame.
Or it was mounted to the frame.
Okay.
Like,
and the slide ran through it like a subway car through a train station.
Pretty much, yeah.
Gee, really?
Yep.
What?
Yep. That's cool. Yeah.
Huh. Because they needed something with more stability?
At that time, the electronics involved in red dot sights was not durable enough to take the G forces in the reciprocating slide of the handgun.
Oh, okay.
So it had to be mounted to the frame in order to protect the optic from destroying itself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Huh.
Yep.
Wow. And this is the mid 90s.
I believe so.
Okay, so the fact that I've seen this in to the extent that I have in the last few years, is not merely a result of fad or fashion, but also because the technology has caught up to a degree that you can put these. I mean, these are glass and light producing fibers or filaments of some kind,
Yeah,
and you can put them on something that's moving back and forth faster than the eye can see, right? Which wasn't even true of the red dot sights on a rifle, right? So the fact that you can have it moving back and forth on a pistol slide speaks to the level of the technology that's now.
it's come a really long way.
That is crazy.
And I mean, it was before my professional lifetime,
Oh,
but when I was, yeah, within my lifetime, it's come from the point where you couldn't put a red dot on a reciprocating slide to now. Not only can you put them there, but they'll last a very, very long time
interesting.
as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think the big hurdle there was getting the glass to be a certain level of durability or to be other parts of the components, or
No,
you're
yeah,
not sure?
it's not the glass.
Hmm.
So yeah, what are the components? It's a glass optical window that you're looking through, housed in some type of metal housing,
Okay.
but it's all the electronics inside, which you've got the small little computer chips and motherboards and wiring and batteries and the battery connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
That was an issue for some optics earlier on.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So getting all of those components durable enough to withstand
To ride the slide.
repeated beatings, that was one of the challenges.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, honestly, I had not thought of that distinction between something sitting on top of a rifle frame,
Yeah.
not moving much beyond how you're shaking the carbine back and forth, to something that's taking a very high speed two-way ride with two sudden stops. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I saw a red dot mounted to the slide of a professionally oriented handgun
Mm-hmm.
was 2010.
Okay.
And I know it was happening many years before I saw the first one.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's interesting to think that even today, 16 years later, there are still a lot of professional places that don't allow that. That don't allow red dots on duty guns, handguns.
What do you mean they don't allow it? As in they won't budget
Like
for
from
it?
an institutional perspective, it's not allowed.
Are we talking law enforcement agencies, military institutions?
Yeah, I think at this point it's mostly law enforcement agencies.
Where okay, there's some belief that's limiting that,
Yeah,
and the belief is that what this is.
probably that it's not durable enough. You can't trust it.
Okay.
The benefit isn't worth the extra risk involved or something like that.
Okay.
So it's absolutely, there's no doubt about it. It improves the performance of a skilled shooter.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that.
All right.
But with extra performance comes extra maintenance caveats in there. So now you have an extra piece of equipment on your pistol that you have to make sure is clean every time you take it out to use it. And you have to make sure that the battery is fresh and you have to check it. You know, it's another piece of equipment to maintain. But that's that's what pros do, right? If you can increase your performance, you do what's necessary to have that performance. Nobody drives a slow car on a racetrack because they have to maintain it less often than a race car, right?
Right. No one complains about the no one complains about the fact that you wear out tires when you're racing a NASCAR
Yeah.
race. Yeah, this is
Like, when was the last time you had your car overhauled? Like a
Mm.
total engine rebuild?
Never.
Never. professional motocrossers have their engines rebuilt after every single race
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they need to do in order to maintain their top level of performance.
Right.
So in order to have
Crazy.
a high level of capability, you end up having a higher level of maintenance.
Right.
You know?
So
If you want the juice, you squeeze the orange, right?
how much squeeze do you want to put on that orange? Okay, so this is the perfect segue. So this go ahead.
In my mind,
Mhm.
like I've got an optic on my duty gun. The only extra things I have to do
Mhm.
is I look at the window and I blow it off to make sure there's not lint all over it.
Mhm.
And I check to make sure that the brightness setting is optimal. I holster it and I go to work.
Mhm.
That's all I have to do on a daily basis. And now I have this performance capability.
Upgrade. What's
And
the
then
battery
the other
concern?
battery life is like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So the other thing, every day I check it to make sure it's illuminated correctly, the screen's clean, I holster it and go. Once a year, change the battery. And that's it. But if you're the type of guy that literally never unholsters his duty gun and he takes his belt off and puts it in the safe at the end of shift, and then he takes that thing and puts it on, and he's never even looking at his gun,
Mhm.
that's where an optic is not going to help that guy.
Right. And in fact, it's another failure point. So
It is another failure point.
Hmm.
And it's something that he's not going to maintain because he's not even maintaining the thing he had in the first place.
Right. He's not even checking his Velcro, let alone.
Yeah. And then the other argument is that it's another failure point. So if you start to get used to it and it fails, like maybe the battery dies oddly, or because it's a thing made by humans, sometimes it can fail just randomly. So what are you going to do when you pull it out to use it and it's not working? For some magical reason, it doesn't work. Either the dot is gone or your optic window is covered in dirt or whatever, you can't see through it. Can you still use the gun anyway?
And that's where that skill component comes in.
Yeah.
Where
So you can't, if you think that a red dot sight is a crutch, then you haven't trained to the level necessary to handle it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
If you're thinking of it as the thing that makes me aim good, then
it will be a crutch if you treat it like one.
Okay.
So if you only know how to use the red dot when it's working,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, it is a crutch in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But if you treat it with the correct amount of respect, know how to use it, not only that, but know how to use it when it's not working, you can still use your iron sights with it there if you train to it. It's not really that hard. Just train to it. And then it'll be fine.
Right. As is so often the case, it's not so much that it's hard, but it just requires time invested.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good segue. The red dot is a potential failure point.
Yeah.
So this gets back to an earlier question. I can't remember if I asked it before we were live or not. But how do you think of balancing these gear considerations with these training considerations, especially for guys who are not in that professional community where you're paid in order to be good at something, but you're trying to be good at something on your own time with your own resources?
I think you have to identify your objectives. That has to come very early on. Yeah. So tell me more. I guess I'm kind of, if you need equipment on which to apply your skill, but what are you trying to achieve? I guess. So if somebody came to me and asked, I don't know. I want to, I want to, I want to X, Y, Z. What should I buy?
You'd have to understand what the XYZ is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I've had the question before. Um, I want to be prepared to defend myself. What should I buy?
Okay.
That's not enough information.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm glad you want to defend yourself, but how much have you thought about this? What? If you say, I want to defend myself, what should I buy? I, I don't know.
A bodyguard?
Yeah.
Hire a professional security team?
So,
But people will come to you and ask that question. They'll just say, I want to be able to defend myself. And they haven't thought about it more than that. Is that a real conversation you've had?
yeah,
And do you find that the people asking it have not thought about it beyond that articulation?
it doesn't seem like it.
Okay.
Yeah. They go from, I want to defend myself to what gun should I buy?
Right. They're immediately asking, where do I spend my money?
Well, it's even worse than that.
Oh.
It says, I want to defend myself. What gun should I buy? Um, do you even know what it means to use a gun?
Against another person.
Yeah.
Or even, well, forget that. Even use a gun.
Have you thought through that? Have you thought through that at all? Maybe we should go through that before you're talking about like what kind of gun you want to buy. Or so, yeah, how much what are you going to do with it? You want to defend yourself in your house or away from your house? Are you going to carry this thing on you, or are you going to buy it and then put it in your gun safe? So, yeah, those. It seems like if how do I encourage people to? I can't give people answers to questions that they don't even know which questions to ask.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Can we play this out a little bit?
Okay.
All right. I'm 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 Norman Nevershot. Jake, I hear guys around town tell me you like guns. And I'd love to defend myself if I have to. What gun should I buy?
This is when you say sign up for my shooting class.
Right.
um, are you gonna carry this thing with you, or are you gonna leave it in your nightstand?
Oh, I don't know. Should I carry it on me or no? I want to be able to defend myself if someone comes into my home.
Okay. Um, I guess usually the way I tend to answer these things
Uh-huh.
is I'm going to assume that you've thought about that,
Right.
but most of the time it hasn't happened.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, so yeah, if you want to defend yourself in your house, I guess
Well, hold on. Sorry. The reason I said that was not so much to answer that question as what questions do you think people ought to be thinking about that maybe hasn't even crossed their mind? Like what is it that people need to be answering for themselves in a more disciplined way that most people just haven't put the thought in? Does that make sense?
yeah, I think if you're actually really serious about defending yourself and that's the thing that's important to you,
Mm-hmm.
you should probably do some research on mindset type stuff first.
Okay.
because that's going to be a more critical aspect to the entire equation than what gun you buy or how you carry it or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I would if I'm concerned about my personal safety,
Mm-hmm.
I would be reading books about like the psychological aspects of interpersonal combat.
Sure. But that sounds like homework, whereas it feels cool to go to the store and
You
pick
have
up a bunch of guns.
touched on the real question. A lot of the gun world is it's a hobby rather than a personal necessity,
Okay.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's kind of part of man's prerogative to be able to take care of his own issues.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were about to say blow stuff up.
Wait, so what was that?
I thought you were gonna say blow stuff up.
Blow stuff. Blowing stuff up, man's prerogative.
Man is designed to take care of his own problems.
Mm-hmm.
If he's cold, he builds himself a house. If he's hungry, he goes and hunts himself an animal. If the neighboring barbarians attack, he fights them off. It's your job to do these things. In today's world, we've contracted out all these jobs to other people.
And allow them to specialize.
That's it. It's there. We live in a specialized world,
Mm-hmm.
which allows us to progress much faster. But we also get disconnected from the more natural, basic skills and capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at?
So
it's homework, and it's not fun.
thinking is hard. So
If you're serious about the actual defensive side of it, I want to defend myself. Start developing your mindset first. That's more important than what gear you have. Develop your mindset to increase your defensive capabilities, and also actually learn about your own defensive capabilities. Do you have what it takes to resist the efforts of another person to the point where it causes them pain or death? Are you ready to kill someone? Those are the really hard questions.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what equipment or skill you have to know the answer to those questions first. If you're actually talking about this if you actually mean what you're asking, that's the first step.
So you say,
I want to defend myself, what gun should I get? If that's the question, you have to do you want to defend yourself? Do you actually? How far are you willing to go? Learn about yourself, learn about the mindset, learn about what this actually means. And then once you handle that, then we can go to the other stuff. If you want to say, I like guns and I want to shoot something, what should I get? That's a different question.
do you think that there's this element of people want to go play cowboys and Indians, but because we're adults, we can't say that. Oh, I want to go. I want to go shoot.
Yes.
So we try to dress it up, and basically essentially it's a type of cosplay, right? Where we want to basically wear a costume, right? Let me put on my shooting stuff and go and shoot stuff, and it's basically a type of theater.
The term is LARPing.
LARPing. We're LARPing with lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that
You can make fun of that, but it's like we live in America. You can do what you want.
right, you can make fun of that, but the fact is that there's probably dozens of companies that make their entire annual revenue basically off that audience.
If you want,
It's serious money.
want to do that, that's fine.
Hmm.
But let's be clear about what's for fun
Hmm.
and what's for a very serious purpose.
It's also like the pretend cowboy syndrome.
The pretend cowboy syndrome?
Have you seen this?
I have not seen this.
No.
This is when boys think they're really cool, so they buy spurs, put them on their boots, wear a cowboy hat, don't take a shower, and make their trucks really dirty.
Oh.
And say they're-
But they wear spurs, but they've never ridden a horse?
Well, maybe they ride a horse, but they don't take the spurs off when they're done.
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
clink,
They,
clink,
they want
clink,
they want to come in clanking.
clanking. Yeah.
Huh.
I was down at the 40.
Uh,
You know, that's like
right.
that, yeah.
Right. I was down at the 40.
It's hard to take them seriously.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that kind of thing irritates me.
right, but they must be getting a certain amount of success with it with certain audiences to make it worth their while.
This is true.
Uh, yeah, Jake, I feel like you're saying that if someone came to you and said, I want to defend myself, what gun should I buy? Basically, your inner reaction, at least, is to say, I really need to have this Socratic conversation with you in which I ask you a bunch of revealing questions in which you'll walk away, hopefully knowing more about your actual intentions than you even know right now. But that sounds like a lot of work and requires a lot of introspection, and maybe most people don't want to undergo the exercise of that type of introspection.
Maybe your question response should be, how much metaphysics have you read?
Right, right. What kind of guns should you buy? Well, it depends on how well you've read the metaphysics. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how real fair that is, I suppose. I maybe I'm just judging people. If they want to say, oh, I want to defend myself, what gun should I buy? What I hear is, what guns do you like?
And do you think the desire behind that is, hey, Jake, you're pretty cool, and I want to be cool like you, so what gun should I buy?
No, I don't. I think it's
Just swing that a little closer.
if they want to go buy a gun and go have fun with a gun,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell them what I think good guns are, and they can go buy one.
Mm-hmm.
They'll enjoy it,
Sure.
and that's probably where it's going to stop.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Is there a way to actually practice the level of stress that you might be under in the context of firing a gun? Is there a way to practice that? Is there a way to scenario this?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Stress inoculation happens by having stress.
Mm-hmm.
The more stress you have, the better you get at handling stress.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really replicate the total feeling of being in a and I don't want to sound like I've actually been in this situation, but you can't replicate the feeling of a real fight for life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't replicate that in the same way that it really feels like.
Mm.
But if you've never done anything stressful before,
Mm-hmm.
that experience is going to be huge
Mm-hmm.
and really difficult to
I
process.
I remember my early jiu-jitsu days. There were a few times when I was on bottom with some much more talented, bigger, more athletic, heavier, more talented guy, and they were like on top and smothering me. So I remember very distinctly a few times my body telling me I can't breathe, and I really, really, really want to breathe. So I know that I feel that in jiu-jitsu, there was a couple times when my body at least really thought we we're going critical here, right? And maybe my mind kind of knew that, okay, yeah, you can tap and the guy will get off of you. But I remember in the moment, again, in a physical sense, in a visceral sense, my body thought we were dying. Uh, and I felt that that was a pretty good lesson to know what that rising panic really felt like.
Yeah.
But could you do it with firearms in some way?
So like being in an actual life and death fight feels way different than racing dirt bikes.
Uh-huh.
But racing dirt bikes does help you in a life and death fight.
Okay.
So doing extreme sports is not the same thing as fighting humans,
Mm-hmm.
but the high stress and your necessity to make decisions very quickly does help you in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't actually replicate a real fight because that'd be really moral.
Because you might die. Yeah.
Um, but yes, like all the different all the different ways of stress inoculation that happen, all the different things you can do to increase your ability to make decisions under stress will help you in real fights.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
It does. Okay. Yeah.
So if you go get in gunfights every day, you can be really good at that.
Mm-hmm. But you may not live a year.
But you don't have to go get in gunfights every day to
Mm.
get good at, like, to be prepared to succeed in a gunfight the one time.
Right.
If you do other things that still train making decisions under stress quickly, those things still benefit you in that one time that you might have to do it for real.
Mm-hmm.
So you can prepare yourself for that without actually having to experience it.
Right. Right.
The people that experience it a lot tend to be better at it than the ones that have never experienced it. But the people that have trained for it are better than the ones that have never trained for anything like that, never done anything stressful ever.
Sure. Sure.
That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So I wonder if that person comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to defend myself. What gun should I buy?" I wonder if the response should be, how prepared are you to be very, very stressed? Are before we tell you what gun to buy, let's have a conversation about how much you're willing to voluntarily put yourself in stressful situations. Maybe that's the response to these to people coming to you with this question is, okay, forget all the home, let's not make this sound like this huge college level course of introspection about who you are as a man. Maybe we could boil it down to one simple question. Before I tell you what gun you should buy, I want to know how prepared you are to voluntarily practice stress or voluntarily practice behaving under stress, behaving well under stress.
That's you're halfway there.
Okay.
You're starting to get there. I think it's you're still kind of skirting around the essence of the thing, though.
Really?
What's the essence of the thing? You say, I want to buy a gun to defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
What gun should I buy? What are you not talking about? Or
Ending someone's life?
exactly.
Yeah.
The question that you need to ask is, how committed to surviving are you? Are you willing to kill someone else in order to not get killed yourself? That's the question. That's the real question. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah. Do you think the general population in the 1600s was just more generally ready for that? Yeah, I might have to kill somebody. Where it's been not bred out of us, but habituated out of us.
Yeah, I think in the modern world, we're much more removed from those very basic, earthy, natural parts of life and death than people were long ago.
This reminds me of Sergeant York. Have you seen that movie?
Long time ago.
Seen that one? Remember how like he's the best shot by far from everyone, and then he doesn't know if he can go on because he doesn't know if he can kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And he spends 2 days just reading the Bible and praying, and then decides that he can because he realizes that he's protecting other lives.
Mhm.
Then he becomes like one of the greatest war heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's, yeah, like very well showed example of what we're describing. Because he had the proficiency to kill, but didn't know if he could. That was actually stopping him from excelling. And then once he decided, yeah, I can do this because this is the right thing to do to protect someone else, then he could go full in. So, because I feel like maybe, yeah, like if you can answer that question, are you willing to kill for your own life if someone's threatening you? And once you can say yes to that, then I think you can really hone in your skills because now you have a direct goal for what you're doing. Because I think vagary is what keeps you from actually developing skill.
Yeah.
Because if you don't really know why you're doing something, then it's really hard to keep finding out where you're going wrong to actually meet that goal. Because, yeah, it's like if you enjoy bike riding, then you can probably become really good at bike riding. But if you're trying to win the Tour de France, you know exactly what you need to do. And then you start seeing your shortcomings and limitations towards that goal, and then you can break through them faster.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to practice being willing to end another human being's life in order to preserve your own. I don't know that there's a way to practice that.
I don't think you need to practice that part. I think you just it's the resolve. It's kind of like the resolve of like I think of a good example. I will not lie.
Mm-hmm.
The resolve is there.
Right.
So I think that resolve will then tend you towards doing things that keep you from lying. Maybe that's falling through.
Yeah. This bleeds into well, what I'm thinking of is people who have been in
Good question.
like a people who have been in a plane crash and the plane goes down and we always imagine that everyone's going to be screaming and running around, but what survivor witnesses have actually related is that the plane went down and no one tried to get off the plane. Everyone actually just sat there pretty quietly waiting to be told what to do, even though they had just crashed into the water. Maybe they should have sat there quietly until the flight crew deployed life rafts. Maybe they should have, but the survivor's point was that no one was attempting their own safety. People stayed locked in an attempt to remain socially socially correct, right? So it seems to me that if you are having this serious conversation with yourself, you have to ask, to what degree am I ready to violate societal norms to accomplish my aim, right? Am I willing to step outside social rules in order to preserve myself? Um, hmm,
So I have an example. I think uh, if you want to talk about defending yourself, you need to evaluate your own capability for violence.
uh-huh,
So I was on a fishing trip last year,
right,
and uh, we'd bring a fish on board the boat, and then the uh, the deckhand would be like, when you bring the fish on board, here's your, I think they had a name for it, but it's like this little bat.
right.
It's like when you bring the fish on board, beat that fish with that bat like it owes you money. Beat that fish like it owes you money. And I'd see these guys, and I don't know, some of these guys might listen to this. Sorry. But they'd grab the bat and they'd like tap the fish like boop, 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 like this. It's like, no. Can I swear on here?
You can.
Beat the fuck out of that fish. Like, kill that motherfucker.
Right. You got to go Gollum on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like beat the fish and kill it. Like, that's why you're here. You went fishing. What do you think fishing is?
Right.
It's taking a fish from the ocean and taking it home and eating it.
We're killing them.
Yeah. What do you think happens in between the ocean and the stove? You killed that fish. Who did it? You did, because you went fishing. So when I see people that have that type of reaction to violence, like, it's your job now to kill this fish. Now do your job. And when they go into it with this attitude of like, I'm giving it a pat on the back, like, you're not prepared
Right.
to do what you came here to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you better know that about yourself if you think you're prepared to defend yourself from people that want to take your life.
Or your stuff. Or, sorry, maybe you should let people who want to just take your stuff. Maybe you need to let them go. But if you want to take your family or you.
You, if you're confronted with someone that actually wants to do you harm,
Mm-hmm.
the only way, the first ingredient to a good tasting meal
Mm-hmm.
is a greater, I'm getting too complicated here. If you meet someone that's ready to do violence against you,
Mm-hmm.
the only way to win against that person is be more prepared to do more violence than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that as a starting point, any technique that you know or tool that you carry is not going to help you at all. And oftentimes, people that want to be prepared to defend themselves, so they bring weapons with them, whether it's pepper spray, knives, or guns, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you bring that stuff, you carry that stuff around with you, but you don't carry around a willingness to do violence, you're just arming people that want to hurt you.
Right.
That's
Because you'll sooner give them that thing than use that thing against them.
And that exact thing has happened many times. The weapons that end up hurting the victim were provided by the victim.
Mm-hmm. They would have been safer if they had shown up unarmed.
Yep. So you're like, if you're actually talking about, I want to defend myself, the most important tool that you can bring into that situation is your willingness to do more violence than the other person.
Is there a way to develop that? I mean, go fishing and beat fish? Go hunting?
Yeah, I mean, I think those things help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you've never experienced, it's not the same thing at all, right? Like, human life is worth way more than any animal, right?
Sure.
Millions of animals. There's no comparison.
Uh-huh.
There's no comparison
Mm-hmm.
to the value of any human life.
Mm.
And that's another tangent, but you shouldn't take that lightly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take that from someone without the right reason.
Mm.
But if you're not even prepared to spend, well, I'm getting into an analogy again. But if you're not willing to take the life of an animal, what makes you think you're willing to take the life of a human? If you can't hunt your own food, what makes you think you're going to be able to defend your own life against an attacker? If you're not willing to pay $1 to save your life, what makes you think you're going to pay $1 million?
Right. That you're going to spend your life savings to do it.
Yeah. It's you could almost say, what's your life worth?
To you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you willing to pay $1 to save your own life? Or are you willing to pay $1 million to save your own life? Are you willing to kill a squirrel so you can eat tonight so you don't starve to death? Or are you willing to take the life of an attacker so that you can survive? And
Do you think this is the essence
I'm
of?
not going to say you're a bad person if you say no to that. Right?
You're not.
Maybe that's the right answer sometimes. Who's to say my life is more important than someone else's?
But if they're attacking you, then your life is more important.
They've in a sense they've forfeited
Forfeited
their right to life.
Yeah.
But that's a personal thing in a sense. If you have no one relying on you for anything, what kind of spiritual example would you give to this attacker if you just submitted to everything he did?
Well, if you're dying for something like the faith, and like he's demanding you give that thing up and you say no, then you're placing the faith above your own life. But if you're not doing it for faith and you just don't care anymore, then you're essentially letting yourself getting suicided.
Right.
So then you
it's all contextual, right?
Well, yeah, you have the moral obligation to preserve your own life, though.
Yeah.
Like that's your duty. And if someone is violently taking that away from you, you need to protect that. Pretty sure that's Catholic teaching, right?
Yeah, generally speaking, you must preserve your own life. Right. That's not an absolute, right? Martyrdom is a good thing, but that's laying down your life rather than simply letting your life be taken away.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is the basis of most coming of age rituals for young men over the years?
Well, I guess what I was getting to with that was I feel a lot more compelled to take action when other people's lives are at risk than my own.
Okay.
Because I'm willing to take more risks to try to come up with a peaceful solution.
Sure.
If it's just me, as opposed to if someone else that's clearly
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
innocent is at risk.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
And depending on your station in life, that could mean different things too. Like I have a lot of people that rely on me now as a family man. So it would be very negligent of me to take certain risks with my own life than it would have been as a single person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's kind of where I was getting to. I would not necessarily saying that you should literally just sit back and let someone murder you. But
yeah.
More like maybe you could take some more risks in order to achieve something.
Oh, like you could maybe see if violence could be a last resort rather than the first resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
This is good. Let's take a quick break.
I can't do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And what disservice have I done to the rest of this community that I believe in, all of us Catholic dudes, if I had an opportunity to increase your survivability and I didn't do anything about it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's several different layers there for me. One is it's a motivator for me to keep training, to have other guys to train with. Two, I benefit personally
Yeah.
by having other people of like minds that are skilled and prepared. And then three, I'm not really like making the best use of my talents if I don't share it with people.
Mm-hmm.
So that even if we don't help each other, at least you have something that you didn't have before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's those are the kind of things that I sort of think about when we train together.
What I find myself thinking about the most is, could I react in a productive way if someone was performing public violence with a firearm or without? Um, so I think
Are
about,
we live again?
we are, yeah, yeah. Uh,
Nice catch.
um, so maybe this is from jiu-jitsu, but I'm constantly thinking about fighting people. I mean, throughout most of my day. I mean, every time someone walks into our office and it's a guy, I think, if I had to, how would I fight him?
Yeah.
Right now I'm pretty fond of single leg picks,
Those are good.
with a headbutt. But like this, I mean, this stuff is rolling through my mind all the time. Um, I guess for me, I think of the pistol skills as, could I shoot somebody in public and actually hit him and only hit him?
That's
And
important.
and I guess that's what my goal has been, is to basically, I train in order to create the belief in myself that I could do that.
It's a confidence builder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah, I think I wouldn't be spraying grandma and everybody else with bullets, even if I was in a high state of stress.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, in jiu-jitsu, you can practice jiu-jitsu in a way and you can know whether or not you can really do jiu-jitsu, right? I guess where I struggle a little bit is, I love going out and training firearms, but I don't feel as if I can ever answer the question, if I really needed this for the purpose for which firearms were created. How do I get to that last level of confidence of, yeah, I've done the thing, so I know I can do the thing, right?
Yeah. So I've talked to people about that. I've
Mm-hmm.
talked to guys who have done it,
Mm-hmm.
and their answer to that. So it was a guy early in my law enforcement career asked me, "Do you think you could shoot someone if you had to?"
Uh-huh.
I said, "I don't know. I hope so. If that's what I need to do, I hope I can do it."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Me too. I've done it before, and I hope I can do it if I need to." Meaning, even though he's been through it before,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a question.
Mm-hmm.
So in his mind, and I think he was kind of right. There's there's nothing about it that you can there's nothing about it that you can replicate. It's until you actually take another human life, you've never done that. And to say yes, I can, having never done it before, is hubris
Yeah.
or something like that.
Or your imagination.
Yeah, it's arrogance or ignorance or a combination thereof.
Mm-hmm.
But he took it a step farther than that and was like, even though I have, it's still the same question. I hope I can, but I don't know until the time comes.
Mm.
So you can prepare for it.
Do it, and then you're back to preparing for it again.
Yeah.
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 I think that might actually be a question that goes to lots of different parts of life. Like, I have never, but I would imagine like when you're expecting your first child, it's like, well, you're going to be a good dad? Well, I hope so. I don't know if I will be, but I think those are those little things you do along the way of just acting in a good way that prepares you when the larger thing comes for you to make a good decision. But you don't really know how you'll feel, what's going to be there, all the circumstances around it. But I think like your principles of behavior essentially give you a map of what to do in the moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe like,
So
yeah,
yeah, I think there's it's I can uh I can attest to your child example. Like when I had my first kid, I was like, okay, here we go.
yeah,
Like I hope I can do this right. And it was the same thing with number two. And by the time I came to numbers 3, 4, and 5, I was like, yeah, all right, I got this. We'll make it. It's gonna be harder, but we'll make it work. It's fine.
right,
It'll be
right.
fine. So the example of the guy that talked to me earlier in my career, I think he had only been involved in one shooting.
Okay.
Um, and that was the way that he talked about it.
Mm-hmm. The time I was in a shooting.
Yeah. It was like he told me like that's the right answer. I don't know if I can, but I hope I can. And that was still his answer too. Like I've done it before and I hope I can do it if I need to. But I've also talked to other people who I don't even really know how many shootings they've been in, but I would guess that it's been quite a few. And after their most recent shooting, his kind of debrief was, yeah, like I've been in all kinds of things like this. It's fine. I knew exactly what to do. Like we're good.
Hmm.
Like I'm not stressed about it at all. I know how it works. Here's how it goes. I did a good job. I did my job. Everything's fine. Let's go back to work.
I've heard that that's like even the mentality of special operators is like when they're going into a fight, usually a lot of times they'll take a nap beforehand because they're so relaxed, or they'll like, you know, be reading or doing something on the plane going there.
Yeah, I've heard about that too. And I've heard about like guys going to Target and everybody on the ride has different like preparation rituals
Ah,
almost.
uh-huh.
Like some guys are, you know, praying repeatedly, or some guys are doing other types of like meditation something, and other guys are like jamming out to rock and roll, and other dudes are racked out like sleeping like babies. And
Crazy.
everybody's got some sort of different kind of routine that prepares them for it. I think, and it might also be, a reflection of how much experience all these different guys have had.
Yeah.
Like that might be part of it too, but some of them, and everybody processes stress and anxiety differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that could be a reflection of some of these guys aren't stressed at all. Other guys are really stressed, but it could also be their actions aren't necessarily reflecting how much stress they're under.
Mm.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe there's 4 guys out of this 12-man team that are sleeping, and another set of guys over here are doing some type of repetitive thing to keep their mind busy. But all the sleeping guys might not be totally relaxed.
Yeah.
And all the guys going through some type of mind game to keep their mind busy, maybe they're not all stressed either.
Mm.
It could be a mixture of any of that.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. When we bought our first rental, I was like, oh my, we're all going to go bankrupt. We're buying a lemon. It's going to burn down tomorrow. This is a financial disaster. Get out. And then last week we bought, I don't know. I honestly, what number is it? It's another rental. We bought another rental. Man, it barely made a blip in my week. I was like, oh yeah, and we bought another rental this week. And it was just a totally different atmosphere of thinking.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah, we got to get a renter
I think
for that rental.
That's a big part of what we're talking about, sort of, is
Yeah.
how do you prepare for something you've never done before?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Really. And the more you do a thing, the more prepared you are for the thing. And yeah, sometimes, some types of things you have to do thousands of reps before you feel like you're good at it or you're prepared to do it for real. And then other things, even just going through it once, makes you exponentially more prepared than you were having not done it at all.
At all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the first time I really felt that I was a competent property manager was that time we busted those squatters out of a storage room in our fourplex in Hudson, and it was just me, and we were coming in just to clean the building. I mean, it wasn't even as if we were trying to evict anyone or anything like that. But anyway, we were just there to clean. And I come in and I'm trying to get into the storage room and it's locked. I think to myself, why is this storage room locked? I didn't lock it on Friday. It's an empty storage room and we need to clean it. So I'm like, someone must have just locked it by accident. Like, damn it. And we had bought the property 2 or 3 weeks before. We had bought it at auction. The owner was long gone. There's criminal history, all sorts of things. Anyway, we didn't have the keys. So I go and I get my little oscillating saw and I start cutting the little latch on the door handle. So I'm just making a ton of noise, cutting metal with metal. It's like, "Arr!" And so inside the storage room, people start shouting, like, what is going on? What's this? Like, shut up. Stop making so much noise. Who is it? And and I think I paused the oscillating saw. I paused it and I said, it's Jonathan. Which I realized later I should have totally done The Shining and be like, here's Johnny. Anyway, I go back to sawing the thing. I'm like, it's Jonathan. And then I start sawing into the door again. And the door flies open and there's people squatting inside. They had snuck in over the weekend. And
That's crazy.
they come running out, and all of a sudden, and then these other people who technically weren't squatters, we had just sort of inherited them from the previous landlord, which again, he was going to jail. They sold it at auction, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all of a sudden I have 3 or 4 adults like all up in my face, and it's just me by myself alone in the building. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to be me and the oscillating saw against these 4 people, and I'm gonna have to make a break for the door.
You do good work with a sawzall.
Yeah. Right. Just go all ham on them. And so anyway, I'm like, you're not supposed to be here. What's going on? You got to get out of here. And they all run inside the apartment and slam the door and lock it behind them. And so then we call the sheriff and we get into this whole conversation with the sheriff that the sheriff doesn't want to go evict anybody and blah, blah, blah. But I look back to that moment and I realized that was the moment that I became like I became a property manager in the sense of before I was sort of like, well, let's talk to people and see what we got to do and have a conversation and maybe I'll call someone and see what the best plan is. And afterwards, I was someone who said, I'm going to start walking onto properties and just telling people the way it is. And I'm not looking to fight anyone. I'm not looking for violence, but I am looking to tell people what's going to happen and have them comply, right? And it was that essential experience of saying, "Oh my goodness, if I'm going to do this well, I have to be ready for conflict." And I was much more ready for conflict, having been through the conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, yeah, it was a watershed moment. It was night and day from before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so where do we go from here?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Kind of just reflecting on a lot of thoughts I've been having lately, but it seems really interesting how, like, you know, I think we all have those things we know we need to confront, but we're not confronting it, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, I think one of the things I need to do more of is mental training, like just memory practice, because I know it sounds really
My memory sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's the thing. Like I'm about to tell a
Wait till you're past 30.
story.
Your brain starts going, I don't need this. I don't need this.
It's so
But what do you have in mind?
well, I was just so like when I'm trying to tell a story,
Hmm.
I'm about to go into the story and I forget like 30% of the vital information.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, well, I can't tell a story now. And
You
now
remember it all later?
sometimes, but like if you had those experiences where you were doing the thing and you had complete knowledge of everything that was happening, it was great, everything was going well, and you've done it so many times, like how could I ever forget this? And then you go back to telling someone what you did and you're like, where'd it all go?
Oh, no.
So that's just something I've been noticing is like, like maybe there's something with like when Jesus says like knock and the door will be opened.
Hmm.
I wonder if the thing behind the door is the thing you know you should be looking for. And it's like the next quest that God gives you. He's like, if you have a better memory, then you probably have better conversation with people, and that probably will end up you getting to know more people and seeing more truth and then becoming a better person. So like, it goes down this road. But what brought this actually all the forefront of my mind was the difference between Batman and Superman. I think we were talking about this in the
We
car.
talked about Batman and Superman.
So everyone hates Superman because he has no limitations. Because he's invincible. It's like lava, who cares? Ice cold, who cares? Giant rock monster, who cares? He's gonna win anyway. So there's no question will he win?
Hmm.
And that's where heroes that we really come to have an affinity for, like Batman, become so interesting to us because he has so many limitations and he finds a way to overcome them and still do good in spite of them. So like the Dark Knight trilogy
Hmm.
is really interesting because like he lost his girlfriend to a deadbeat, even though everyone loved him, this Harvey guy. Like he was like the rage. Everyone saw him on TV. He's putting criminals away and everything. And Batman knew that. He stole his girlfriend. And then he starts working with the arch nemesis of Batman to do more wrong. And Batman says, well, I'm going to give up not only my girlfriend, but my reputation and my life and everything I built up because I'm just going to put Gotham first. And everyone's like, you can't beat that. Like, he is the hero. And then once the truth comes out, everyone's like, oh. this was the guy that everyone thought was really scary, and well, he was scary. He was like we were saying, like more violent than the bad guys, and he had to be to shut him down. But he essentially was doing it all to preserve life. But this was really interesting to me because I'm like, we have all these like things that were like, well, if I only didn't have this problem, and if I didn't have that problem, and I didn't have this problem, my life would be so much better.
Mm.
But maybe that's a lie. Like maybe our life is better because we have these limitations.
These limitations, these challenges, and these shortcomings.
Yeah. Like, isn't that crazy to think about? Like, maybe that's the lie of the devil. He's saying, oh, God just cursed you with this problem. You should rebel against God. But maybe God was like, well, actually,
That's never true.
yeah.
That's never true. Everything that happens is because God wanted it to or allowed it to. And even the craziest stuff
Yeah.
is God has a plan for it somehow.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Um, mm,
That's just
Well, yes,
it's true, but it sounds hollow.
well, that's the thing. Like, we have to
But the
see
reason
that.
why it sounds hollow is because you're not trusting God enough.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to say when we took our break. When I walked out is I can imagine God saying, "Why don't you trust me?
Mm,
Don't you know I love you?"
yeah.
Like that gives me chills to think about
Yeah.
just that. Like that's
because you feel that
that's kind of it.
you don't have that trust. Your trust isn't complete or partial or intermittent. Like, why does it give you chills?
Maybe it's just because of like the point in my spiritual journey,
Uh-huh.
but it's that's what the whole thing is about, isn't it? Is God loves us and he wants us to be close to him. But he's not going to give us the answer unless we trust him. Like you were saying, you got to take the leap of faith. When you're standing on the edge of the precipice looking into the mist and the dark and you can't see the bottom, God's saying, jump. And you're like, I don't know about this. God's there saying, what? Why don't you trust me? Don't you know I love you?
So the area I've struggled with this is with my feet,
Yeah.
because I've always felt that this is a handicap, right? Like a fundamental limitation that I can make. Like, I can't train my way out of it. I can't exercise my way out of it. I can't think my way. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, it is a skeletal
Yeah.
departure from the ought, right? A foot ought to be this, or feet, yeah, right? The skeleton ought to be this way. And for you, Johnny, it's not. And I have always, my whole life, I mean, well, probably ever since adolescence. Because as a kid, I was probably a little bit better about being just, this is the way God made me, right? But I think adolescence onward, whenever I consider it, it's been yeah, I'm always behind normal people, right? And uh I don't know what that, like, the trusting God, like what does that look like practically, like a practical way for for things where there's these things that feel just like an inherent flaw that you see no possibility of fixing, right?
Mhm.
Right? Like even things that are sort of vices, right? Like, hey, I'm a little greedy, help me God, but it could get better. Or hey, I'm very selfish, help me God, but I know it could get better. What do you do about these things that you'd see no possibility of it getting better?
You ask God. That's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to ask him. And I don't know. He might. I almost said he might not answer you,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I think he would.
Hmm.
He might not answer you in the way that you want to be answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, like how you build strength under burden.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is no burden, you have no strength.
Hmm.
But I think then that's like the next question of like, well, how long? That's like the time question. It's like, I think that's kind of like we're talking about like with the podcast, because we're like, well, how long will this take to take off? But I think that question might be the wrong question. Because if you're like, it's like if you're just waiting for something to happen so like it gets easier, because I've been having a lot of these questions. I'm like, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Like, this make any sense, you know?
As in you're questioning, am I getting where I want to be? Is this building? Is this progressing? Am I
Right.
building momentum or am I just spinning my wheels?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized the other day, I was like, okay, well, I want this to happen for this goal and this one. I want this one and I want this one. And I was going along this list and I was
Uh-huh.
like, wait a minute. This is all about me. I
Hmm.
was like, everything I've been trying to do was to raise my eyes of myself and status to get more things that I want. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I've been using God's gifts of like the church and the faith and all these things, which I thought were for good things, like making life better for myself and all these things. And I was like, oh, I'm just inverting the game. Like, what actually I think what God's trying to say is like, what if you just gave all those things up? Like, what if you didn't need all that? What if you didn't want it? What if you didn't think about it? Like, go that far? Would you still love me? And then it hit me, and I was like, oh, that's the question. Because
Yeah.
do you love good for good's sake, or do you love good for what it gets you?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my eye opener for this Lent. And I was like, ooh, I was straight between the eyeballs, you know? So,
Is in that you wanted to be doing these good things in order to advance some temporal career
yep.
through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just the love of the thing, like you know, it's easy for like in business to be like, well, why am I not successful enough? I put in all these hours, I talk to all these people, I do all the things the gurus tell me to do. Why am I not making it? But then it's like, well, that's because you're going towards this one goal of what you think is most good. And you're like disregarding the other good things that come along in the process. It's like, what if you just enjoy business because you get to work with people doing good things?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good in itself.
Yeah.
Or what if you just enjoy excelling at some sort of craft or work to create beauty in the world? That's a good in itself. Like maybe the reason why God isn't giving I've been telling myself this. Maybe the reason why God doesn't give me this X amount of dollars is because that X amount of dollars is a good down here, and He's like, raise your eyes,
Yeah.
just look up, like another example is like in college, I think we all had this experience of like wanting people to like you.
In college? I still want people to like me.
Same. But it's like then you start contracting all of your interactions around people for them to like you.
Hmm.
So, dude, I've got so much to say now. I I struggle with that too.
Mm.
Like seeking affirmation from people that I interact with. And I can picture God saying, "What is my approval not good enough? Like
Mm.
what are the opinions of these people worth?
Right.
Why are you seeking approval from someone that can't actually satisfy you? Their opinions don't matter. It's
Like if you actually got to the point where, oh, so and so approves of me and they approve of everything I do and they approve of everything I'm going for. Right. If you actually got to that point with that person after a year or 2 years, 3 years, you say, still not happy. Even
yeah,
though they approve of everything. Like,
you're seeking satisfaction from the wrong places.
mhm.
And Christ gives you the water that once you drink, you're satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And no one else can give you that. And yet, because we're focused down here, that's where we're directing our efforts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you were talking about like your goals, things like that, like what the thing that came to mind to me is I've asked God before, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Like, I feel like I'm doing all these good things. Why do I not feel satisfied? Like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? And the answer I got was pretty intimidating. And it was, if I told you, would you be willing to do it?
Mm.
And at the time, that was a major reality check.
Uh-huh.
Because I sort of felt like that was that huge leap of faith.
Mm.
Like I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and this was going to bring me happiness. And I wasn't really like, I was kind of afraid of what God might ask of me. So I wasn't opening myself up to hearing the answer. Like I wanted to know what I was supposed to do, but I wasn't really like, okay, I'll do these things because that sounds cool. But if you ask me to do these other things, I don't really want to do that. And I kind of felt like I just said, God was like, if I told you, would you do it? That was a really big question.
And is the follow-up made you think, maybe I can't know because if I knew, I'd be running away. Is that?
I guess the follow-up that came to mind to me, instead of God asking me that question, if I told you, would you do it? It turned into a declaration rather than a question, which was, I'll tell you if you promise to do it first.
You promise ahead of time.
And not necessarily promise, but like, I'll tell you but you have to be open to the answer. If you don't want to hear what I'm going to say, I'm not going to tell you.
You have to be willing to have the script be different than the 3 or 4 scripts that you have in mind.
Yeah, it was like a
Yikes.
trustful surrender, take the leap of faith type answer.
The leap of faith, I mean,
It's not, you have to know what God will tell you what he wants, but you have to be truthfully opening every aspect of your life to hearing his answer before he tells you what it is. If you ask him for an answer, you better be willing to hear it. And if you're not ready to hear it, he's not going to tell you the answer.
because you couldn't hear it anyway. Right? If you're not ready for the answer, you're not going to hear the answer. Let me make it more practical. The leap of faith. Your oldest daughter is 7, 8,
Almost 7.
almost 7. You're not doing anything wildly different in your life now than you were 6 years ago, right? You're going to work, raising a family. What does the leap of faith actually look like? I mean, are you right? You're not switching careers. You're not like what is the leap of faith? You're changing your mental habits. You're praying differently. Like, what's the leap of faith if you're not making on the ground changes?
It's a spiritual disposition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's not I'm going to do something different. It's I will do whatever you want me to do. It's not I'll stop doing this thing if you ask me to. It's whatever it is, my life is yours. And that's kind of why it's a leap of faith, right? If you knew what the answer was, I guess that's kind of what I mean. Instead of, he's not, I guess in my experience, for what it's worth, it's not a binary, do I take this path or do I take that path? I don't know. God help me. It's more of what should I be doing? Or what am I doing wrong? And if you want an answer to an open-ended question like that, you kind of have to jump off the precipice or be willing to.
Do you think could be expressed as, Lord, I'm willing for my life to be useless in the eyes of men? Right. I actually think of Lord of the Rings in this context. Like we say Aragorn, son of Arathorn, right? Like, what's Arathorn's story, right? He doesn't get the epic adventure. He's not on the ring quest.
The only thing we know about him is it was Aragorn's dad.
Right. Yeah, honestly, you could say the same thing about St. Joseph if you want to have a specifically Catholic spin on it. Right. But if you looked at St. Joseph, in the eyes of men, he's sort of useless, right? It's like, yeah, you could hire Joseph to build you a table, but you could also hire Nathaniel of Galilee to build you a table.
His involvement in the scripture is very minimal. He doesn't actually have very many lines in the script.
He doesn't say one word.
Yeah.
Right. The only thing we read about St. Joseph is his disposition.
We know about a few things that he did.
Right. Yeah. He resolved to put her away quietly. Yep. Yeah, but having been warned in a dream, he arose early and took the child and his mother to Egypt, right? Is that what you're talking about with the leap of faith? That, like, Lord, I'm willing for my life to not be special. Like, maybe my life will be special, but maybe it won't be because maybe I just have this little role to play to put some other part of divine providence into position, right? The parent of every saint, right?
Yeah.
The teacher of every great scholar, right? How many teachers have gone down in history more or less anonymously, but they carried on a tradition that allowed some other great mind to bloom. Is that what you have in mind when you say the leap of faith?
Yeah, sort of. I guess I would say it even a little more open-ended.
Okay.
I don't know, and I kind of don't even care
Hmm.
what my future looks like, as
Okay.
long as it's whatever you want me to do.
Hmm. Do you feel like that attitude is distinctly different than the attitude that you had 5 or 6 years ago or 10 years ago? Like,
I think so. I've brings up another interesting point we should talk about. um, I focus a lot on responsibility.
hmm
Like, you need to take responsibility for the things that you've been given responsibility for.
Mm.
And I'm having trouble.
No, I get it. I don't know.
Like this is the question.
It's responsibility and it's discipline. Like that's what has been kind of the focus of my intellectual and spiritual efforts for a number of years.
Okay.
Is my uh, help me out with the philosophical terms, but you have your intellectual spiritual will
hmm
that's supposed to dominate over your animal instincts,
Your appetites.
your appetites. Yeah. And if that becomes disordered and those priorities flip, that's where disaster happens.
Yeah.
Your your will needs to maintain total and absolute tyrannical control over your animal instincts.
I would have said stewardship. I don't love the word tyrannical, but
Maybe this is part of my spiritual like
Actually-
maturity, because I've been using that sort of perspective
hmm
of your will is in charge.
hmm
Your emotions mean shit. You must do what is right,
Uh-huh.
regardless of how you feel about it.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
That's the way I've been feeling about things.
Hmm
May I say kingly over tyrannical?
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to
I mean,
go.
that's the difference. That's the only difference, right? Is a king is a benevolent tyrant.
Well, the tyrant is inverse of kingship. So tyrant uses everything to go towards him, and king does everything he can to go out to others.
Okay.
So the reason I say that is because I think, based on what Lewis talks about in the Screwtape Letters, that that's actually one of the temptations that the devil uses to make you hate goodness, is to be displeased when you do good things. So essentially forcing yourself to do good things instead of choosing to do things.
Oh.
Because I did the same thing all the time in school. I would force myself to do what I thought was good.
hmm
And I almost enjoyed hurting myself to doing something what I thought was good. So like I went to the extreme of saying, well, I know I should get up and work out and do all my homework and do all these things. I don't feel like doing it, but who cares? I'm in control.
Yeah.
And then I did that a lot of times, and then I realized, oh, well, what's the difference between me forcing myself to do this thing and someone else forcing me to do that thing? If I don't actually love doing the good itself, then am I actually doing good? Maybe I'm just doing a facade of what's good.
That's what Aristotle would have referred to someone who is continent, correct? That's someone who
Yeah.
can control their actions but does not take pleasure in the good. Right, right. They would prefer vice, all things considered, but because of the
Yeah.
prerogative of their will over their actions, they do the good. Whereas Aristotle says, no, the actual virtue is in pleasure and rejoicing in the good.
Yeah. So that was the thing that Screwtape was telling Wormwood? Worm
Wormwood.
Wormwood? Okay.
Reverse bison.
Yeah. Um, he was telling Wormwood, like, you shouldn't have let that man go out on a stroll that evening because he just enjoyed God's nature and just felt at peace. And then he said, you shouldn't have let him get into that relationship with that beautiful woman because he saw the goodness and beauty of the world.
Mm,
And Screwtape was telling Wormwood, he's like, God gave men all of the pleasures. So when men experience pleasure as good, that actually takes them away from us.
mm.
He's like, we can only twist them by choosing too much at one point.
Too much or the wrong time or the wrong proportion.
But he said that actually pleasures are the greatest way to coming to God. And I was like, what did Lewis say? Like, what?
Right. Shut up, Lewis. What are you talking about? All right.
Yeah.
Isn't
But I think so. I'm trying to get to what you're saying here. It's, do you love the rules or do you love the rule maker?
hmm.
And I love the rules. I was like, I took pride in the fact of like, well, I'm like the hardest working kid, or I'm like, I do my homework no matter what, or like I follow these protocols. And then I realized I just love the rules because of the pride and satisfaction I give of thinking myself as righteous. When in reality, I probably should have skipped class more often and hung out with friends when they asked me to. And I probably shouldn't have finished that homework assignment because the better thing probably would have been to talk to my friend who was having a rough time. Or even take it better, just enjoy their time with them and it wasn't even about a problem. Like they were the good thing I should have spent.
Right, exactly. I wasn't there to accomplish something for the future. I was just there
Just there for
because
that.
it was a good
It was a
moment.
good moment. Yeah.
Right, right.
And
And
then, yeah.
those are something to be savored. Yeah, for me, maybe I would echo that in when you're working with a horse. The horse has its own will and the horse has its own rhythm. And if you simply attempt to dominate the horse for the entire time that you're interacting, that's that's better than the horse making every decision for the both of you, right? If the horse always decides when to go, when to stop, and where to go, that's not a good riding experience. But on the other hand, it is possible to so dominate the will of the horse through intimidation and coercion that the horse's will is completely eradicated, which is going to produce some results that we as the rider or the trainer see as desirable. But but the true good between horse and rider is when you are stewarding the horse's desires and actually guiding it to want the things that are good for both you and for the horse.
Yeah.
Right, so that you bring the horse's will into alignment. Yes, with your will. Yes, but on a more fundamental level, this is the good for the both of you, rather than just this is my will dominating your will. And I suspect that the same is true with our appetites, is that there are times when we're not here to dominate our appetites, but we are here to steward our appetites to express themselves in the appropriate way at the appropriate moment.
Yeah, I guess I I wouldn't disagree with anything you guys have just said. But it's still, in the end, the will is the master.
Yes, yes.
Not
Maybe I had a little bit of heartburn over the expression, "Oh, the will has tyrannical control."
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess I used that language to, I guess, indicate that
Total
it's
mastery.
never okay for your appetites to do something that your will wouldn't approve of.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Totally.
That's called compulsion.
That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that the appetites can never enjoy themselves, but that the appetites are never in charge.
Right.
The appetites always have to have the approval of the will,
Mm-hmm.
and not the other way around.
And the will
Find
has to
yourself
be
doing something out of an emotional outburst that was a usurpation of the powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been focusing on that ordering of things. And then also I like discipline. I think someone that demonstrates discipline to me is someone that demonstrates virtue. And as Jocko Willink says all the time, is like freedom through discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I believe those things. I think those things are true. And if we came to terms with some of the language that we use, I think we'd probably agree for the most part that that's still the thing. Like we can say king, and like appetites can enjoy themselves
Right.
when it's rightly ordered.
Right.
But the will is in charge. You are disciplined. You do the right thing for the right reasons.
But still, the man who can do a pull-up is more free than the man who can't do a pull-up.
Yeah.
Even though the man who can do a pull-up has to give up a lot to get there.
Yeah. And so I think like what it was starting to spill over into is like the discipline thing. I'm gonna have to collect myself again. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Trustful surrender to the divine will.
Yeah.
You're in charge of your appetites, but you're not ultimately in charge. God's in charge. Like, you don't have to have control over everything. You have to surrender. You have to give yourself over to what God wants and let him take over. It doesn't have to be like you're responsible for yourself and everything that God has given you responsibility for. Like those things are true. Like, I'm a husband and a father, and I have to take care of my family and my wife and this and that. I have to make sure all this stuff is in order. But at a certain point, I can't feel like this is all just it's just me.
Right.
Like it's God.
Yeah.
And if I try to usurp his power or his responsibility over me and what he's given me, then it's almost like an inversion of the will and appetites thing too. Like I'm in charge of my appetites. My will is in charge of my appetites. And I need to subject my will to God's will also. And at a certain point, I have to be open to what he wants as well. I can't if I try to lay out my entire course on my own, the likelihood of it being what God wants me to do without saying, what do you want from me?
Do you feel as if this shift in your own interior life has resulted in anything specifically practical in how you're approaching raising your kids or your relationship in your marriage or the way you approach your career? I mean, do you feel as if this is like C.S. Lewis notes in the Screw Tape letters, the the man who has a convert, the man who is a convert discovers eventually that, oh, he still has to get up and go to the same job and do the same and exercise the same duties, right? There's this sameness, but there's also this fundamental transformation in the attitude he brings to it.
Yeah.
Do you feel something developing in your own life, Jake, that reflects a change?
Um, the answer will be disappointing.
Try us.
No.
No?
um, Nothing has really changed. Like I spent a lot of time praying about some of this stuff. And at the end of it, I didn't really have an answer.
Okay.
Which was kind of not what I wanted. The interesting part is nothing really changed. Nothing was happening differently. All the same stuff was happening. But the really interesting part, even more interesting, the more interesting part than nothing changed was that everything was just better. Like not all the same stuff was happening, but I had a lot more peace about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I prayed for an answer to a question. And at the end of it, I didn't have the answer to the question. But the issue solved itself without my realizing it. I didn't end up doing anything different, but the problem went away.
How
Yeah.
does that happen? Yeah.
That's like C.S. Lewis in Till We Have Faces. Have you guys read Till We Have
Oh.
Faces? It's excellent. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It, I think there's a similar dynamic that the question can't be answered. The questions that you have about your own life and about existence itself cannot be answered because you are not yet a creature who can receive the answer. So the answer is I, the creator, the God, the lover, need to transform you. Then you might be ready for the answer.
Yeah. I went into I embarked on this period of asceticism and prayer
Uh-huh.
with this like, God, give me an answer to this problem. What do I need to do differently? Because I want to fix this thing. And at the end of it, I didn't have an answer. I don't know what I was hoping like to hear this answer of I need to do this differently or I need to change this or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't experience that at all. But what I did experience was the problem was gone. And the source of my unhappiness, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's gone.
Mm.
I wonder if that has something to do with idol making. I wonder if we can turn problems into idols.
As in we enjoy having a problem on some level.
well, enjoy, or we're so focused on it, we can't think of anything else. So like, uh, I definitely saw this with like family business, like back home. Um, 'Cause there was like these problems that we kept encountering, and it like consumed our entire life. And I was like, this seems really unhealthy. And I think that's because it's like if you think about the problem wanting to go away because you're uncomfortable with it, I think then you're saying, I just don't want the burden. But if you're saying, I'd like to fix this problem because this isn't good and I'd like to have a better life, and whatever this thing is going away would allow me to do that, I think that's the right question. Because I think it's like what you're saying with responsibility, like you can't just shirk it off and be like, I don't want that anymore. It's like, well, sure, a lot of things we don't really want, but like what you're also saying, like God gives us those things for a reason. So if we then ask, how do I take on this responsibility and resolve this issue? Because it is a problem, so that means there's something wrong here. I think that's when God shows us the way through. Because I don't think He wants us to be like on the path, we're in Mirkwood, tons of spiders, and then He's like, please take me out of here. And then poof, He's gone. It's like, I think God wants us to be like, well, this might look really bad, but just use what's in your toolbox. Like, you got this cool ring, got the sting, you can get through the spider webs, even though they're really gross, and you can save your friends. And that might be actually a trope of a lot of things. It's like, well, maybe the thing we're dealing with right now, like, like just the uncertainty of having, like uncertainty of like this past couple of months, I got some sort of sickness thing that would just keep coming back. And I was like, what in the world? Like, this is so annoying. And then, but that forced me into starting looking for other like cures of things. And then one of those things I was doing was like ivermectin, and that's been helping a ton.
Mm.
Oh, I might get canceled.
And that's the end of the episode.
Delete. But so that put my awareness onto something that this really cool study just came out that showed that people on ivermectin are having a 60% improvement with either killing their cancer or at least reducing their symptoms dramatically within 6 months of frequent use. And then with all types of cancer, they just kind of did all types of cancer.
Ivermectin is actually reducing the spread of the cancerous growths inside their body, or
Cancer, yeah,
huh,
keeping it at bay or even getting rid of all of it.
ivermectin.
And so this was really interesting because I actually have a friend right now who's dying from stage 4 cancer.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, that might be it. Like maybe my sickness made me look for something that might help him. So then I shared it with him. I'm like, well, there's a study out here. And I talked to my doctor friends and like, there's nothing really, you can't really.
He's already dying. Why not?
Yeah, they were pretty much just like, ivermectin's not going to hurt you. It's like it helps everyone with everything pretty much. It's just like a good thing to take every so often. Like, do you know what cures Giardia?
Ivermectin?
Yeah. 2 weeks and you're gone. You're done. No more Giardia.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, hint, I went down to Baumgart's and I picked up the horse stuff and I started taking it. Because I was like,
You're totally getting canceled.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, it just says on the back, like, for weight, like how much weight, body weight, and then that's how much you take out. And so I've been feeling way better, and so I shared it with my friend, and hopefully he'll take it and But who knows? I still don't know the end of that story, but
Shout out to bomb guards.
yep. You sponsor us.
Whoa.
So that was a really recent example of that. But if I had said, God, take this away from me because I don't want this anymore, I might not have looked, I might not have found something. But it's kind of an enigma too. All these things that go into play. And we can be like, God, what are you doing up there? And he's like, yeah, it's okay. So just don't worry about it. I got it control.
Yeah.
I think my lesson has been not that not that I need to shirk responsibility really, but I need to have more trust.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the SIG 320?
Yeah.
Segueing a little bit. How to ask this? Are some firearms fundamentally unreliable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we take a break?
Yeah, we can.
And then I'll come back.
Okay. Second break.
Take a break.
Right.
That's really good.
So should we start with Alex Preddy or should we get to Alex Preddy?
I don't know anything about him.
Oh, that's the
I know that he died in a confrontation with ICE and there was a SIG 320 involved, but that's
it.
that's the extent of my knowledge of the situation.
Yes. Oof. Minneapolis.
I don't put a cent's worth of stock in news stories of basically anything anymore because it's all shit.
It's all fucking bullshit. All right, there's the title of the episode. Yeah. IAFB. Yeah. Okay, where did we leave off? Okay.
320.
320. Are some firearms unreliable? Yeah, we were talking about this. Was that 2 weeks ago we were out at or was that just last week?
That was 2 weeks.
2 weeks ago? Damn, time flies.
That was an interesting lead in. SIG 320, are some firearms unreliable? Well, the SIG 320 is reliable. So reliable it'll shoot when you don't tell it to.
It is reporting for duty. Yeah.
When I hear is it a reliable gun, I think, is it going to shoot when you need it to? Does it work?
Okay.
Is it going to work when you want it to?
Yep.
I don't think really anyone's debating that about the SIG 320. I think it is a pretty reliable firearm in that sense. Like it works.
Yep.
And it works in adverse conditions and all that kind of thing. The question with the 320 is, does it shoot bullets when no one to?
Right.
Being a good guy.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say, regardless of what I say here, make your own adult decisions about whether you're going to trust this gun or not, because it's a debate. But that's the question. Does it fire when it shouldn't?
Or without human interaction with it?
Yeah. And so the language that's used in this type of discussion is pretty important, right? Does it shoot without human interaction? That means something else than does the SIG 320 suffer from uncommanded discharges? Which is also a different question than is the SIG 320 safe?
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Like exactly what words you use here and what you mean by those things. All this stuff
matters.
What you mean by when you say that can mean something totally different than what someone else might want to know. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess for for people that might not be familiar with the situation, like the SIG 320 is a really popular handgun that's been adopted by numerous police departments across the country and numerous military forces, not only our own, but 6 or 8 other foreign militaries as their primary sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the US, there have been a lot of allegations that the SIG 320 will fire bullets without someone pulling the trigger deliberately. So that's the question.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like surveillance video and reports from witnesses and things like that that say the gun was holstered and it went off in the holster and injured someone.
Yep.
Or maybe it didn't injure someone, but it went off when it from the holster and like the bullet hit the pavement or something like that. But my understanding of the situation is that SIG's been sued over this numerous times. They've been to court a bunch of times. And their language is it will not fire without a pull of the trigger. And to my knowledge, that has been the finding of the court every single time, is the gun will not go off unless you pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But the internet is full of reports that it goes off in the holster and no one pulled the trigger. And here's a video showing it happening. And other people are like, you're stupid if you carry a 320 because it's going to shoot you and things like this. And so how as a consumer, what are you supposed to make of all that? You've got all these videos across the internet showing these guns going off in cops' holsters. And then you have SIG in court saying, this gun will not fire unless the trigger's pulled. Where do you go from there? Like, how do you wade through that? And how do you decide, like, should I buy a 320? Or maybe I've bought one already, and now what do I do with it? Is it safe for me to carry this thing, or do I need to like bury it in the back of the gun safe and never touch it again? How do you wade through all that?
Right. So when people come to you asking, Jake, I want to defend myself, what gun should I buy? You could say, buy a 320. If you don't shoot the bad guy, the gun will. It'll do it. It'll take care of the problem for you. Yeah. Is it possible that Glocks or XDs or Winchesters these other guns might be having similar malfunctions, but because it hasn't been turned into a scapegoat by the internet, those stories get chalked up to human error and then forgotten. Like, is that possible? Is there? I know that last time we talked about this out at the range, you were saying that unlike a Glock, the trigger mechanism, excuse me, the trigger on a 320 does not have a integrated safety switch, which I think a modern Glock trigger will have. Like it has that little forward canted tab.
Glock triggers have a safety tab in the center of the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires a press of the trigger that's pretty much perpendicular to the face of the trigger, going straight back in order to fire the gun. In order for the trigger to actually move backwards and fire the gun, that safety tab in the very center of the trigger needs to be activated.
Okay.
So if you have some object, whether it's a finger or part of a holster or a piece of clothing or some other thing, if it touches the side of a Glock trigger but doesn't touch the safety tab in the center and tries to activate the trigger backwards, it's not going to move because that safety tab is preventing it. So it's a safety. It basically has no effect from a deliberate end user grabbing the gun, pulling the trigger. It's going to work perfectly. But if some object from an oblique angle from either side touches the trigger, it's not going to cause it to fire because it hasn't activated the safety tab. SIG 320s don't have that. So some object that comes in contact with the trigger from a oblique angle could theoretically pull the trigger.
Okay.
So for instance, if you have a loose fitting holster, something could slip into the holster between the gun and the holster, find its way into the trigger guard, and cause contact with the trigger that could cause it to go off. That could happen.
But this isn't happening with other SIG models, at least not to the extent that it does with a 320.
Yeah, if there are instances of uncommanded discharges
Mm-hmm.
of other types of firearms, I've not heard of them.
Okay.
So that's kind of odd,
Okay.
right?
Could the lack of that safety tab be a desirable feature in the sense that have there been times when people have attempted to discharge their Glock for some desired reason, and then that safety tab has itself malfunctioned in preventing that commanded discharge?
I've never heard of anything like that.
Uh-huh.
I imagine the safety tab not being included in the SIG design is for it provides a better feel on the trigger
Mm-hmm.
to not have that little tab in the center.
Yep.
I don't think it in a meaningful way, it doesn't really detract from the capabilities of the Glock to have it there, but some people prefer not to have that feel in the way.
Right. Right. They want that smooth crescent of a trigger in which to put their finger. Okay. So
the weird thing about this whole situation is, so there's a couple other elements at play.
Yeah.
I guess is the gun went through extensive testing in order to get adopted by the military as its sidearm. I'm not saying the military never makes mistakes, but if it was so faulty that it was just randomly going off in people's holsters, I can't imagine they would have adopted it. And then I've also heard that the FBI did a extensive, third-party testing of the thing and found nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
So there's these institutional elements at play that have basically evaluated the 320 and said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's safe. It works as advertised. It's fine.
Yeah.
So you've got that. And then on the other side, you've got all this anecdotal data in the internet saying it's dangerous and it's going to kill you when you're not looking.
It's going to follow you home. It's going to come inside your house. Right.
Yeah. So how do you wade through all this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you come to a decision?
Mm-hmm.
If this is something that's important to you, the question is this thing safe for me to use or is it not? What do you come to? And it kind of reminds me of the UFO debate. Because there are videos all over the internet of UFOs. And some people are totally convinced that aliens are real.
Mm-hmm.
But we've never, look at a UFO video and what is that? How do you learn from that? What is that? They're all poor quality, grainy cell phone videos from super far away of this thing moving around. And what do you do with that? What kind of evidence is that? What's the actual evidentiary value of a video like that?
Uh-huh.
How can you watch this grainy cell phone footage from 10 years ago that shows a streak across the frame and say, based on that, aliens are real. Is that a logical conclusion based on real evidence?
Hmm.
And that's kind of what the 320 debate kind of feels like to me. Is a lot of the surveillance video evidence of guns going off in people's holsters and things like that is grainy footage from long distance, and you can't exactly see detail about what's going on. Like how do we know actually what happened in this situation?
Right.
I feel like people are looking at these videos already knowing what they want to believe, and then just using that to support their preconceived conclusion.
Huh.
That makes sense.
It does. Right. You'd be watching a video and be like, look, his arm keeps swinging forward. There's no way he actually grabbed the gun because look, his arm just starts back here and then it passes. And I know you can't see it when it's behind his body, but then it keeps swinging up and he doesn't have the gun. He didn't touch it. The gun went off of its own accord.
Like there's one video I can think of where it's like in a police department lobby area, and there's a number of cops around, and they're fighting with this one guy in the middle of the room, and no one like tries to grab a gun or anything like that, but they're fighting with this guy, and you can see like a gun goes off in this cop's holster, and everybody's like, what just happened? And people look at that video and they're like, there's the evidence. That gun went off in the holster and nobody touched it. But is that the whole story? Or might there be something else going on? What does that really tell you? Do we know what happened to the gun before it went into the holster? Or do we know that that holster was actually designed for that gun? So just looking at a video and trying to draw a conclusion about that situation doesn't tell the whole story. And in this particular video, at least from what I can see, which again, it's kind of a grainy video and it's difficult to see for sure.
Right.
But in my opinion, it looks to me like the gun's not properly holstered in the holster beginning of the video. Like it's partially in the holster, but not fully seated, which means like if that's the case, which it might not be, but if that's the case, it means it wasn't placed in the holster all the way. Or if it was, if the officer tried to holster it all the way, if it wasn't all the way in, maybe there was something else in the holster at the same time along with the gun that shouldn't have been there. And if that's the case, you could be wrestling with a guy and not like grab the gun, but the agitation, the movements, and maybe somebody bumped the gun or something, and there was something else in the holster with the gun at the same time, and all these things contacting each other at the same time could have caused the gun to go off.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff can happen.
Yeah.
Or I've seen another video where an officer is getting out of a police car with a duty belt, with the gun holstered in the duty belt. The officer drops the duty belt and it goes off on the ground or something like that.
Right.
And they use that as evidence that these things are unsafe. Like, what happened to that duty belt before you took it out of the car and dropped it on the ground? Like, what other items were in contact with that? Did anything fall in the holster and contact the gun? And we just don't know. The video evidence isn't clear enough to show the entire story. And when you ask the officer involved, what officer is going to tell you, oh yeah, I was stupid and I threw a whole bunch of pens inside my gun holster when I holstered my pistol at the same time, and then I tossed the thing carelessly on the ground.
Right.
Listen. Thank you. No.
Right. So you're dealing with a situation in which the people who had probably the closest contact with the firearm are the people with the highest level of motivation not to admit any personal guilt or erroneous action. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No one wants to say, "Oh yeah,
The only real witness is the person who would have to incriminate himself
hmm,
to tell the real story.
sure."
And I'm not saying that they're just going to lie about what happened, but
Their
you know,
incentives.
if it's an absence of mind that
Hmm,
caused the accident and they honestly just don't remember, and your habit is always to practice perfect gun safety skills, why would you tell someone that you did something to cause the gun to go off?
hmm
If you don't actually remember doing that and you always practice good gun safety anyway, why would you ever tell someone, oh yeah, I'm not really sure what happened, but I guess I pulled the trigger by accident? Like, that doesn't make any sense if you don't actually know that that's what you did.
Sure. Sure. Do you think it's possible that once the snowball gets rolling with a specific gun model, then all the other stories that might have existed more or less isolated within the zeitgeist then start to coalesce around that one model, right? So maybe people have had similar.
Like
ex-
me too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. We Me Too'd the 320, right? Or
Yeah, I
maybe
think
people have had similar experiences with some Winchester model, but for some reason we haven't had the story that really gets the ball rolling. And those stories are out there and but isolated. Whereas with this particular model, it's been somehow one story got enough attention that then everything else coalesced around it.
yeah, that's possible.
I guess it's hard to prove. Yeah,
Maybe because it's so widespread of a gun too. That's what's making it.
Yeah, I think there's some professional jealousy involved because
Oh.
a lot of high profile gun manufacturers competed against SIG to get the government contract for the standard issue handgun back in 2017.
hmm
And, you know, those companies might have some interest in trying to defame the thing
right,
in order to get their guns adopted instead.
sure.
Where is 6 Hour located as a company?
New Hampshire,
I
right?
think it's New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, so that was the whole. So when I did that training with up in New Hampshire with Scott Ballard and John Fain, so John had been training people through the 6 Hour network, like I don't know, an hour from where I was training jiu-jitsu at his school. But then the culture up at that 6 Hour training center got totally changed, and basically the the civilian training really started to take such a second tier of importance behind professional level training that the guy I knew, John, said, honestly, I'm not even doing the thing that they really hired me to do, which is to train civilians in responsible and competent gun management. And so that's when he broke off and started his own gig. But it was pretty funny because we were at one of these trainings, and the instructor said, "All right, which of you guys expect to be rappelling off the side of a building, shooting guys with an AR, one-handed, wall managing a active rappel down the side of the building?" And we're all sitting in the class looking at each other like, I guess we're not really supposed to raise our hand for this, are we? And he said, yeah, exactly. None of you guys are going to be doing that anytime soon. So let's train you in practical skills that you might actually be called upon to use. And it was a good prism through which to see the rest of the class material that he had, which was a lot of drilling of the basics rather than let's put you through essentially an adventure course in which you do a tiny little bit of all these pretty exotic things and you feel really cool and you feel like Rambo and you jump out of high platforms into sand pits and then run over and you shoot something and then you do a barrel roll and when are you going to do any of this? For you, probably not. So it was a good prism to see things.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that was just an hour away from where I was in Merrimack, New Hampshire back in the day. Was the big Sig Sauer training facility.
What year was that?
This was 2017.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 2016, 2017. So right before I moved back out here. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's um, a good rule of thumb actually is brilliance in the basics pays off way more than trying to branch out too far into silliness.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, if you play I wonder. I remember watching a guy play Call of Duty one time, and you're running through this base, and then you shoot a bunch of guys, and then you run over to a helicopter, and the helicopter takes off, and you're shooting guys out of the helicopter, and then a missile flies up and it hits the helicopter, and you crash land, but you jump free of the helicopter, and then you run over and you jump into the river and you swim for the river through a while and you shoot some more guys. Then you find this boat and then you got to navigate the boat down the rest of this river and you're still shooting guys. Right. And it was like every 5 minutes, the adventure changed a little bit. And so I wonder if SIG, in an honest assessment of the market in which they were trying to make some money, said, look, we got to give guys basically a Disney World experience of shooting so that they feel like, oh, every 5 minutes things are changing. It's very exciting. Versus, again, and Jake, you and I have talked before about some of these classes I was taking in New Hampshire. I mean, you were just all day, you were just doing the same basic skills, and you were in the sun and you were in the heat and you were just drilling the same thing again and again. It was so deliciously boring, but by the end, you did feel as if some things had been ingrained in you, but none of it was a particularly good story, perhaps.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting topic that I've questioned myself when I teach some of my classes is what would benefit the students the most? Do you pick out 2 or 3 basic skills that are really important and you need thousands of reps on this to become proficient? So that's what you need to do. Should you spend the entire day doing those 3 things in order to get as close to the thousands of reps that you can?
Right.
In order to build the foundation? Or do you expose them to 15 different topics and different skills that they should be able to do, and then send them on their way to practice them on their own? And I think I'm not sure what the answer to that question actually is.
Sure.
I think it would depend on the audience to a certain extent. Like, I think if I'm teaching civilians, they've paid their own money to come here, they've taken their own time off of work, they're individually motivated to do this thing. I think for that group, they've already, like, they have decided for themselves that this is important. So I sort of believe that they're probably going to practice these things on their own. So maybe they're going to benefit more by being exposed to 15 different skill sets, and then they're going to take those 15 things and do those thousands of reps on their own. But in the professional setting, a lot of times these guys don't really care about this. They're doing it only because it's a necessary part of their job.
Right.
They're never going to practice on their own. So that audience, I feel a little more like, we're going to go back to the 3 basic skills. And because you guys don't practice this on your own, we're going to do the thousands of reps that you could be doing at home. We're going to do them today on the range. Because you need this to start with. And if you don't do it now, you're never going to. Does that make sense? There's kind of those 2 things. Like, maybe I can hand out 5 different recipes. You can cook all this stuff by yourself. But here's the 15 different things. Go off and do it by yourself.
Right.
Versus you guys need reps. You're not going to do it by yourself. So we're going to do reps here.
We're going to boil water all day long.
Yeah. It's super boring. There's nothing fancy. It's nothing special. But if you're going to have any level of capability, you have to just do this thing 1,000 times.
Right.
So we're going to be here for the next 4 hours doing this 1,000 times.
Right. Right. And if you guys did practice this stuff on your own, we could use this time today to do something that's more exciting. But because you guys refuse to practice this on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can't color inside the lines. I can't start teaching you how to paint. You can't color with crayons inside the lines. So today, we're going to color inside the lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That must be frustrating at times. Oh,
The 320 thing, I don't know if it's a safe gun or not. I kind of think it probably is.
Right.
But it's a gun. I think it works as it was designed to work. But the design of the 320 is designed for very diligent, switched on professional end users, and careless people are going to have accidents with it.
Okay.
That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Right. Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with the gun. It's that there's nothing in the way.
Right. If you took a racehorse off the Belmont track and put it in a trail ride scenario and you just threw some never evers, of course accidents are going to happen with that racehorse. It's a racehorse and you're asking people who don't know how to ride at all to take it on a trail ride.
Yeah.
Like, no, you have to put an experienced jockey on it who knows how to handle that amount of literal horsepower.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the whole topic is kind of how do you process information these days? Because we live in the internet world now, and freaking AI is pretty scary too.
Sure.
How do you actually go about filtering all this stuff into what's real and what's not, or you have to evaluate all your information with a critical eye, and not get swept up in the emotional flow of the water. And that's the hard part. The hard part.
It is. It is. And the other hard part is we are out of time. So, yeah, it is. Jake, it's always good to have you. We did not get to a third of the things we were supposed to get to, but yeah, so we're hoping to get out here real soon, keep training with you. I think I speak for Tom and some of the guys who are not here today to say that we really feel that you're doing a real service to the community around here and bringing people's skill levels up and giving us some good things to think about as well. So our gratitude is with you for that.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.